9:25, 25 degrees. Welcome back to Daybreak. This week in Alaska history, a ship that helped start the largest gold rush to Alaska wrecks at Katalla, a now ghost town about 50 miles southeast of Cordova.
The year 1910, and this week's Storytime with Aunt Phil, author Laurel Downing Bill tells us how the steamer Portland would awaken dreams of gold in Alaska. Known as the Gold Ship, the Portland hit a rock and sunk in 1910.
But now, without first leaving a bit of a legacy behind, Laurel, first tell us about this ship's glory days.
Well, the Portland became synonymous with the Klondike Gold Rush when it pulled into Seattle on July 17, 1897, with 68 people and more than a ton of solid gold on board. Seattle residents woke up that morning to hear newspaper boys yelling, "Gold, gold, gold!" That was the headline on the special edition of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer that morning. Now, that extra edition was printed before the ship actually came into port. And so by 6 a.m., more than 5,000 people had gathered on the Schwabacher Wharf to watch the ship come in.
So how much gold are we talking?
Well, it turns out the newspaper's estimate of 1 ton of gold was a little bit off. You know, they said it was about worth $700,000, but it's actually 2 tons of gold was on board that ship. Well, word spread like wildfire, and gosh, by 9:30 that morning, there were so many people on the streets of Seattle, they couldn't even run their streetcars. It was so packed. People were quitting their jobs on the spot and trying to book passage to Alaska.
Visions of gold, so much excitement that even the mayor, I heard, of Seattle at the time, he just quit his gig and headed on over.
William D. Wood, the mayor, was in San Francisco attending a convention, and when he heard the words, he sent in his resignation and he loaded up his stuff and he headed north without even stopping off in Seattle. And they said that the word of the gold rush spread faster than a virus did. And by the end of 10 days, more than 1,500 people had quit their jobs and they were heading north.
So getting here not easy back then. How many people would try to come up?
Well, they estimated about 100,000 people made their way north between 1897 and 1899. Only about 30,000 actually made it, and of those, maybe 4,000 found gold. And of course, fewer than that actually kept their treasures. They ended up spending it on supplies, gambling, in saloons, and of course on the ladies who frequented the dance halls. But then in 1899, when they found nuggets in Nome on the beaches, that kind of emptied out all those gold rush towns, because finding gold in the sand was a lot easier than picking through creeks and rocks to find it.
So that takes us back to that fateful day, November 1910. The Portland hits a rock and sinks.
The Portland served Alaska for several more years after, of course, the discovery of gold by hauling people and supplies. But on November 12, 1910, it hit that rock at Katalla, and it actually wrecked, and the passengers and the cargo were saved. But unfortunately, the Portland was not.
So interesting. So many people came up to Alaska for gold, and the fact that only 4,000 kept their treasures, and it didn't just disappear, like spending it back at the, saloons, or, a lot of people didn't even make it up.
Yeah, the odds weren't exactly, I guess, in your
their favor, yeah.
But it was worth it.
For the adventure.
For some, yeah, without a doubt.